You call virtue what I call polished weakness. You call good manners what is in truth fear of displeasing, confronting or disturbing. And so you crawl in silence with stiff smiles and sweet words, hoping the world will reward your composure with respect. Pathetic. The modern world does not respect the civilized, it uses them. Civility, when it becomes predictable, is an open invitation to manipulation. You smile and they shove you aside. You yield and they mark you as prey. Want respect? Learn to keep your mouth shut with elegance. Coldness is the new courtesy. Surgical silence is more powerful than 1,000 humble words. And if that bothers you, perhaps it's because you were trained to obey, not to protect yourself. Comment below which city you're listening from. I want to know where there are still men and women willing to trade submission for self-control, good manners for razor-sharp presence. And if you've ever felt this kind of social manipulation disguised as healthy coexistence, like this video right now, because what comes next will expose another vice of the week: sincerity overdosed. Sincerity. That's suicide disguised as purity. Opening your heart without knowing the other's intention is like offering your jugular to someone who flatters you while holding a knife behind their back. I've seen more reputations destroyed by spontaneous confessions than by well-crafted lies. Those who wield power don't dump truths. They insinuate, scatter. Questions in the air leave the other trembling with doubt. In a world where every word can be recorded, edited, and turned against you, selective silence is your last fortress. They test your patience as if prodding a wall, hoping to find cracks. They poke, they delay, they ignore, they crack jokes, not to destroy you but to make you collapse. Because the moment you react, you lose. They don't want your anger. They want your loss of control. They want to film you screaming, see you slam doors, explode in public, and then they'll call you unstable, aggressive, emotionally unbalanced. Understand this: patience is not cowardly silence. It's lethal presence. It's the art of observing every strike and turning provocation into diagnosis. True power does not retaliate with shouts. It creates cold consequences. And the greatest punishment for a provocateur is the meticulous disregard of someone he failed to destabilize. Then comes the second poison: empathy. Oh, how society trained you to feel, for others to give, to listen without limits, and how that kills you slowly. He who does not set firm boundaries becomes the free psychotherapist of emotional vampires. They cry, they complain, they play the victim, and you, with your heart exposed, keep taking them in until you're drained. But I tell you, empathy without strategy is self-abandonment. Coldness is an act of self-love. Give neutral answers. Redirect the weight back. Shut off the tap of other people's tears that only flow when there's an audience. Because those who feed on your compassion never cared about your peace. Do you still believe your reputation will be attacked head-on? That they'll come with courage, clear accusations, honest debates? Naive. The real attack is stealthy. It begins with a stray comment, an insinuation disguised as concern, a sideways glance in some meeting. You try to explain, but the damage is already done. Because in the court of gossip, the defendant has no right to defense. So listen carefully. Your reputation is not protected by speeches, it's imposed by presence. Show competence, show results. Make attacking you publicly a risk no one wants to take. Shut down access, silence the saboteurs with excellence, and above all, shine. Because nothing terrifies the mediocre more than someone who shines even after being targeted by shadows. But here's the cruelest part. The more you refine yourself, the more you attract the fury of the small-minded. They cannot stand your composure, because it exposes their disorder. Your calm is a mirror in which they see their own weakness. Your posture is an affront to their cowardice, and so they'll try to tear off from you the mask that bothers them, as if it were a mask. But it isn't. It's armor. And you will have to decide, will you stoop to their level to be accepted, or will you raise your fortress of strategic coldness and walk alone? Solitude is the price of lucidity, and those unwilling to pay it will remain hostages to others. Approval, to fickle opinions, to manipulated narratives. They taught you that being understood is a right, that if you are clear, sincere, and kind, others will understand and respect you. A comfortable lie for fragile souls. The truth is brutal. In this world, you will be interpreted according to the convenience of the observer. The more you try to explain, the more ammunition you give. Every detail becomes an argument against you. Every justification, an involuntary confession. Want respect? Abandon the desire to be understood. Let your silence be a wall. Let your actions speak louder than 1,000 explanations. Because power does not justify itself, it imposes itself naturally. And those who need to explain themselves all the time have already lost the war of presence. There is a type of man and woman who walks into a room and claims the space without uttering a word. Why? Because they carry an absence of need. They don't need acceptance. They don't seek approval. They observe more than they speak. They measure more than they react. They disconcert because they're unpredictable. And the predictable, my friends, is food for manipulators. They feed on your automatic responses. But the unpredictable leaves them hungry and insecure. So I ask you, are you the one everyone can read, or the one no one can decipher? Being predictable is like marching naked across a battlefield. You offer your weak points before the enemy even draws their weapon. Your words follow the expected script. Your reactions are programmed by culture, morality, etiquette. You say good morning even to those planning your downfall. You smile when you want to spit. You apologize before being accused. Pathetic. Power is not a script, it's cold improvisation. It's acting so no one knows whether you'll embrace or strike. Mystery protects, ambiguity confuses, and uncertainty paralyzes. You don't need to be cruel. You only need to be indecipherable, because the indecipherable cannot be controlled. And when you become indecipherable, you become an invisible poison to the mediocre. They breathe your presence and grow sick, not because you attacked them, but because you did not bow. Your calm humiliates them. Your firmness irritates them. Your coldness unmasks them. They wanted to push you into the theater of emotions, and you refused the role. They wanted confrontation, scandal, spectacle, and you offered silence. And then, unable to hurt you directly, they resort to shadows. Gossip, slander, the slow poisoning of your image. But here's the secret: while they chatter, you build. While they plot, you advance. While they collapse in collective hysteria, you become inevitable. But beware, don't expect applause. Coldness will not be admired, it will be feared. And those who are feared become isolated. To be lucid in this world is to walk among the blind as a threat. You will be called arrogant, insensitive, difficult, because your lucidity bothers, because your firmness exposes their lack of control, because your presence is a cruel reminder that it is possible not to bow. And here is the truth almost no one can bear to hear. The stronger you become, the fewer people will follow you. Greatness is silent. The summit is lonely. And the price of emotional freedom is high, but worth every step. Do you still want respect? Then give up being liked. He who is liked by all has already surrendered. He has domesticated his soul, pasteurized his essence, become what they expect. True respect is born of contrast, from what you refuse to yield, from what you refuse to disguise, from what, even when pressured, you refuse to negotiate. It is easy to be loved, just conform. Hard is to be integral. Hard is to carry within you the courage not to adjust, to keep your spine straight while the world crawls seeking applause. There is a rare, almost invisible power that few master, the power not to react. While the world screams, you observe. While they provoke you, you stand firm. While they underestimate you, you smile inwardly, not because you are weak, but because you stand above. True mastery is not that of the warrior who strikes, but of the one who holds the sword until the very last moment. Because he who reacts too quickly reveals his weaknesses, exposes his soul to the first touch. A look, a word, a gesture suffice to dismantle him. But he who masters his own pulse is untouchable. He turns the battlefield into a board game. And he who shouts first has already declared himself the loser. But attention, disciple of coldness. Restraint is not fleeing, silence is not cowardice. There is an abyssal difference between the man who is silent out of fear and the one who is silent by calculation. The first swallows his scream because he fears conflict. The second swallows it because he has already won before the fight. One represses himself, the other imposes himself. Strategic restraint demands a rare type of strength, the strength to resist one's own impulse, the strength to witness injustice without collapsing, the strength to choose the right moment to strike or to disappear, leaving in the air only the void that no one can fill. Absence can be the cruelest sentence, because some people don't even deserve your fury, only your oblivion. There is silent beauty in well-wielded coldness, not the coldness of apathetic indifference, but of the attentive strategist. It carries weight. It transforms the environment. It disconcerts. You enter a place and no one knows what you think, what you feel, what you desire. And this lack of clues creates tension, a dense silence, a vacuum that demands presence. They writhe, trying to provoke a reaction, a blink, a gesture, a remark, any sign that you are still playing the game. But you don't play. You make the rules. You don't beg for connection. You witness the desperation of those who no longer know how to reach you. This is true seduction, being an enigma in a world of confessions. Manipulators hate the cold, because the cold doesn't blame itself. The cold doesn't apologize. The cold doesn't carry others' burdens. They approach you with emotional speeches, with tears meticulously rehearsed, with pleas wrapped in tragic stories, and they expect your compassion. But you return silence, you look without absorbing, and that destroys them. Because true coldness does not wound with words, it wounds with absence. It strips the other of control. And those who live to control, when they lose that power, plunge into the abyss of their own irrelevance. You don't need to wound to dominate. It's enough to exist in a way they cannot manipulate. But don't be mistaken. To be lucid is to carry a burden. There is no consolation for those who see too much. You will see manipulation where you once saw innocence. You will feel the interest behind every compliment. You will identify weakness disguised as affection, demands disguised as care, jealousy disguised as love. And that can hurt. It can make you wish for a second to be blind again. But there is no return for someone who has awakened. The truth once seen cannot be unseen. You now carry a gaze that tears away masks, that bothers the actors, that dismantles illusions before the act ends. And for that reason you will be hated by the false and followed by the strong. You will be a reference for those who still can't put into words the discomfort they feel, for those who tire of smiling to keep false bonds, for those who fall ill, trying to please people who will never be grateful. Your coldness will be a mirror. Your presence will be a survival manual. You don't need to teach anything. Simply existing is a cry against domestication. But be prepared. There will be days when it seems easier to bow, easier to smile and lie, easier to yield, not to lose. And on those days, remember me. Remember what you have already endured in silence and the power it gave you. This is the truth. The world does not want you to be strong. It wants you to be functional, to obey, to fit in, to say yes with a smile and no with guilt. But I do not write for the domesticated. I speak to those who carry a silent unrest, an elegant rage, a fatigue of yielding, of explaining, of smiling. If you have read this far, it's because there is something in you that no longer accepts living as a servant, something that pulses, that cries out for freedom, not the romantic freedom of self-help books, but the brutal freedom of one who no longer needs to please to exist. Do you want respect? Then pay the price, become impossible to manipulate. Master your impulses, select your words, be where you want to be, and when you want, disappear without warning. Let your absence hurt more than your presence. Let your silence be remembered. Let your calm be feared. And if anyone still asks why you have changed, smile inwardly. It's because you finally understood that manners without strategy are slavery in varnish. And you were not born to be a doormat. You were born to be firm ground, so others learn to tread with respect. If you have endured this truth until now, then show the algorithm that there are still thinking beings in this digital desert. Like this video right now and comment, which city are you listening from? I want to know how far this silent fury has spread, and if there is still someone who prefers the weight of lucidity over the comfort of lies. Your presence here is not random. It is the beginning of a revolt against moral mediocrity. Subscribe to this channel if you have the courage to continue this war. But no, there will be no caresses, only truths that burn. And from today on, remember one thing. You don't need permission to protect yourself, nor applause to be whole. When your coldness is strategy, your absence is presence, and your truth is silence, you will have won. And no one will be able to bend you again, neither with sweet words, nor with promises of love, nor with rehearsed tears. The invisible. War is underway, and those who survive are those who have already learned to be legends amid the crowd.